był, ich nie policzyłby nikt. On im pieśnią dodawał sił, śpiewał, że blisko już świt. Świec tysiące palili mu, z nad murów unosił się dym. Śpiewał, że czas wyrunął mu, oni śpiewali wraz z nim. Wyrwij murom zęby krat, zerwij kajdany, połam bat, a mury runą, runą, runą i pogrzebią stary świat. A mury runą, runą, runą i pogrzebią stary świat. Wkrótce na pamięć znali treść i sama melodia bez słów niosła za sobą starą treść, dreszcze na wskroś serc i głów. Śpiewali więc, klaskali rytm, jak wystrzał poklaski brzmiał. Lecz ciążył łańcuch, zwlekał śpiew, a on wciąż śpiewał i grał. Wyrwij murom zęby krat, zerwij kajdany, połam bat, a mury runą, runą, runą i pogrzebią stary świat. A mury runą, runą, runą i pogrzebią stary świat. Aż zobaczyli, ilu ich, poczuli siłę i czas i z pieśnią, że już blisko świt, szli ulicami miast. Spalali pomniki, rwali bruk, kto z nami, kto przeciw nam, kto sam, ten nasz najgorszy wróg. A śpiewak także był sam, patrzył na równy tłumów marsz, milczał słuchany w kroku huk. A mury rosły, 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 łańcuch kołysał się u stóp. A mury rosły, 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 łańcuch kołysał się u stóp. A mury rosły, 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 łańcuch kołysał się u stóp.
Welcome to the Hamtramck Public Library. My name is and I would like to begin today's program with the national anthems performed by Olivia Lalewicz. A few weeks ago, Olivia sang our anthem at the opening of the Republican National Convention, and we are honored to have her with us tonight. I present to you Olivia Lalewicz.
Jeszcze Polska nie zginęła, póki my żyjemy, co nam obcą przemoc żyła, szablą bierzemy. Marsz, marsz Dąbrowski, z ziemi włoskiej do Polski, za twoim przewodem, złączym się
to the Solidarity movement founded in Poland 20 years ago. Our program will attempt to bring us back to those days, the days of solidarity, the days of hope and struggle, and eventually victory. Among the distinguished guests we have here tonight, there are several Solidarity members and leaders, people who were actively involved in building of the Solidarity movement in Poland, who suffered repressions, imprisonment, and often forced immigration. Many of them helped us immensely with the Solidarity exhibit, and in fact no such exhibit would be possible without them, so I would like to introduce them first. The president of Polonia Center in Windsor, Canada, also a co-organizer of our Solidarity exhibition, former president of Solidarity Commission at Hamtramck, Poland, Mr. Ryszard Uśmierczyk. Solidarity activist from Stalowa Wola, Poland, and an initiator of our today's program, Mr. Jerzy Marczewski. Former president of the Solidarity Trade Union from Ziemia Sandomierska, currently the administrative director of the Stalowa Wola branch of the Catholic University of Lublin, Mr. Stanisław Krupka. Former vice president of Solidarity Trade Union from Bielsko-Biała region, Mr. Arkadiusz Paszek. Our city is represented tonight by the mayor of Hamtramck, Gregory. Mr. Mayor, would you please?
Good evening. Well, as is customary and traditional, and in line with the city library putting on and sponsoring a number of events throughout the year, we honor today, through a proclamation in the city, Polish-American Heritage Month. And so I prepared a proclamation which reads as follows. The Polish people in Hamtramck, America, and the world have made immense contributions to the world community in the arts, sciences, literature, and education. And whereas the Polish people have exhibited the highest standards of excellence, ethics, and patriotism by consistently fighting against injustice and for the rights of the oppressed and the basic human rights of all citizens around the world. And whereas all the people of the great city of Hamtramck owe a great debt of gratitude to the dedication, hard work, and service of the Polish-American immigrants who worked tirelessly to build this world-renowned and international city. And whereas the city of Hamtramck recognizes and commends the significant contributions made by Americans of Polish heritage and thanks them for their meaningful contributions across the institutions of our society, including our schools, churches, civil, social, and community organizations, which have so enriched our lives and our culture. And whereas celebrating Polish-American Heritage Month has been a tradition since 1981, and the National Heritage Month Committee has worked closely with the Polish-American Congress, which includes over 3,000 Polish-American groups, and which includes a very active branch here in Hamtramck. And whereas the October 2000 celebration highlights and honors the accomplishments of the Solidarity movement, 20 years ago under the brave leadership of Lech Walesa, Solidarity became the motivation of the Polish people in their attempts to split their relationship from communism. Now, therefore, on behalf of the city of Hamtramck, I do hereby proclaim October 2000 as Polish-American Heritage Month in the city of Hamtramck and encourage all citizens to learn more about Polish heritage and culture. I commend the National Heritage Month Committee as well as the Polish-American Congress for their diligent efforts to preserve the important traditions and customs of Poland. I also commend and recognize the many Polish-American citizens of Hamtramck, past and present, whose contributions and dedication to this city, our state, and country will never be forgotten. And I would thank our distinguished attendees for coming this evening to Hamtramck to help us celebrate solidarity in a very proper fashion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Our city is also represented by two commissioners. One, the president of the Historical Commission, Mr. Greg Kowalski, and the president of the Beautification Commission, Greg Kirchner. We also have with us the library board, Ms. Yvonne Myrick, the president of the library board, Mr. Raymond Bittner, and Mr. Jerzy Dobrowski. Among our guests tonight, we have the president of the Polish-American Congress, Mr. Paul Odrobina. Welcome. Mr. Leo Kirchner from Hamtramck Blog Club. And Mr. Dan Rojek, candidate for the Common Council. We are very glad to have among us tonight a person who was recently inducted to the International Institute Hall of Fame, a person whose devotion to the Polish cause is second to none, who provided leadership to the Polish-American Congress for over 40 years, and whose list of accomplishments and talents is just too long to fit in my introduction, Mr. Kazimierz Olejarczyk. Another former Solidarity member from Kraków, Poland, today a professor at the Department of German and Slavic Studies at Wayne State University, who was recently awarded a Golden Cross of Merit from the Polish government, Dr. Alina Klin. And we are very pleased to welcome Father Mirosław Frankowski from the who has contributed to the exhibit design is here. Mr. Marian Owczarski, the director of the Galeria Art Gallery at Orchard Lake. Welcome. Among the sponsors who have helped to defray some of the cost of our exhibition are the Polish-American Credit Union, Campo Quality Market, and Polish Market. Thank you. And of course, the entire event would not be possible without the organizing committee. Some members of the committee have already been presented, but now I would like to introduce Assistant to the Secretary of State, Mr. Stanley Drott. And the owner of the most elegant restaurant in Hamtramck, Polonia Restaurant, Mr. Janusz Żurowski. By the way, he has prepared and covered all the costs of today's reception. Another distinguished guest and a member of the organizing committee is the president of the Polish Home Army Veterans, Mr. Zenon Stępień. And I would like to express my gratitude to individuals who have contributed memorabilia to our Solidarity exhibit, especially Mr. Zbigniew Grabski, Albert Ciesielski, and Walter Rzepka. you for coming here tonight to celebrate with us our Polish-American heritage. Now I would like to present Sebastian Szczepański, who will sing the song Mury, which is known as an unofficial anthem of solidarity. Sebastian Szczepański and Maciek Nawrot on guitar.
On natchniony i młody był, ich nie policzyłby nikt. On im pieśnią dodawał sił, śpiewał, że blisko już świt. Świec tysiące palili mu, z nad murów unosił się dym. Śpiewał, że czas by runął mur, oni śpiewali wraz z nim. Wyrwij murom zęby krat, zerwij kajdany, połam bat, a mury runą, runą, runą i pogrzebią stary świat. A mury runą, runą, runą i pogrzebią stary świat. Wkrótce na pamięć znali treść i sama melodia bez słów niosła za sobą starą treść, dreszcze na wskroś serc i głów. Śpiewali więc, klaskali rytm, jak wystrzał poklask ich brzmiał. Lecz ciążył łańcuch, zwlekał świt, a on wciąż śpiewał i grał. Wyrwij murom zęby krat, zerwij kajdany, połam bat, a mury runą, runą, runą i pogrzebią stary świat. A mury runą, runą, runą i pogrzebią stary świat. Zobaczyli, ilu ich, poczuli siłę i czas i z pieśnią, że już blisko świt, szli ulicami miast. Spalali pomniki, rwali bruk, kto z nami, kto przeciw nam, kto sam, ten nasz najgorszy wróg. A śpiewak także był sam, patrzył na równy tłumów marsz, milczał słuchany kroków huk. A mury rosły, 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 łańcuch kołysał się u stóp. A mury rosły, 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 łańcuch kołysał się u stóp. A mury rosły, 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 łańcuch kołysał się u stóp.
The professor from the Department of German and Slavic Studies at Wayne State University, Dr. Alina Klin, will now present a short history of solidarity.
The bloodless Polish Revolution of 1989 amazed and inspired the world. After the roundtable discussions, power was transferred to the political opposition after 44 years of communism. In parliamentary elections held the same year, the overwhelming victory of the Solidarity candidate showed who really had the mandate of the Polish people. Poland was on its way to restoring democracy and rebuilding its economy. These unprecedented changes would not have been possible if not for the events of August 1980. That year, a wave of strikes went through Poland. As in 1956, 1970, and 1976, the Polish workers went on strike protesting the announcement of a raise in food prices. Also, as in the past, a hike in food prices was only a trigger that released deep discontent with the political and economic situation. A low standard of living, officially sanctioned lies in the mass media, censorship, and political persecution, to mention just a few. But unlike the previous strikes, this one, in August 1980, did not end in bloodshed and mass arrests. What was so different this time? This was the first time when Polish workers had broad support from Polish intellectuals. The Committee for the Defense of Workers, KOR, established in 1976 to fight for the civil rights of the workers jailed during protests in Radom and Ursus, together with various clandestine political organizations, played a vital role in offering the workers help and guidance long before the strike and during the strike. Thus, it was the solidarity of the people from all levels of society which made this strike a success. The striking workers of the Gdańsk shipyard, led by Lech Wałęsa, had at the beginning only three demands. Give Anna Walentynowicz her job back, allow the commemoration of the victims of December 1970, and give the workers a pay raise. Yet, after the management of the shipyard decided to meet these demands, the strike was continued in support with workers of other companies striking at that time in Poland. And the list of demands grew to 21 now very famous demands, and let me just shortly summarize them for you. The recognition of the free trade union, independent of the party and of employers, the guarantee of the right to strike, guaranteed freedom of expression and publication, the opening up of the mass media to representatives of all political and religious persuasions, compensation to people dismissed for having defended workers' rights, access to the mass media to inform the public about the creation of the Enterprise Strike Committee, informing the citizen of the actual economic state of the country, payment of wages to the strikers for the days of the strike, a monthly increase of pay, 2,000 zlotys, to each worker to compensate for price increases, establishment of salary scales for all positions, making food available at the food market, rationing of meat till the situation stabilized, withdrawal of special privileges from militia, security forces and party members, lowering the retirement age, improvement of working conditions and health services, creation of adequate daycare centers and nurseries, paid maternity leave of 3 full years, reduction of the waiting time for apartments, and extra payment for work on Saturdays. Following the strike, Solidarity was officially registered, becoming the first trade union independent from the government in the communistic bloc. Soon, 10 million Poles joined the ranks of Solidarity. Still, it took 10 years, marked by martial law in 1981, by clandestine work of the illegal Solidarity, by Gorbachev's glasnost and perestroika, which started in 1985, by visits of the Pope to his homeland, to mention just a few, for the efforts of the first Solidarity to come to fruition and bring real change, a change of the political and economic system. Watching the Polish political scene of the last 10 years, full of politicians riding on the coattails of the first Solidarity, of the first Solidarity's accomplishments, but seemingly concerned only with their own careers, it would be hard not to agree with Professor Geremek, a former foreign minister of Poland and one of the founding fathers of Solidarity, when he recently said in Ann Arbor that Solidarity is a closed chapter. But the legacy of the first Solidarity, with its high ethical standards in politics, idealism, and concern for the good of the people, should live on. Thank you.
There is a group of young singers from Our Lady of Częstochowa Parish who have volunteered to participate in our tonight's program and have prepared for us a medley of solidarity songs. I would like to present a currently nameless group of singers under the direction of Father Mirek Frankowski.
Dziś żyjemy, złego
wspólnie potrafimy zaśpiewać tę piosenkę, bo każdy zna tę piosenkę patriotyczną i bardzo religijną. Ojczyzno ma. Następna piosenka, jaką zaśpiewamy, a jest już to ostatnia piosenka, to Polskie nasze kwiaty.
Gdzieś daleko
miałem takie życzenia, że rób tak dalej, Bóg zapłać. Więc i my będziemy teraz śpiewać życzenia dla wszystkich Państwa tutaj zebranych. Od Ady.
Thank you very much. That was beautiful. One of the most important organizations uniting our Polish-American community is Polish-American Congress. And we have a guest here who provided leadership to the Polish-American Congress for over 40 years, Mr. Kazimierz Olejarczyk. Mr. Olejarczyk tirelessly worked in support of the cause of solidarity in Poland, and now will present us with few words about the role played by the Polish Americans in support of the solidarity movement.
Good evening. Well, we could talk for hours about solidarity, about the help that the Polish-American Congress and Polonia, under the leadership of Polish-American Congress and even independently, was giving to solidarity. We were all amazed, proud, and worried when the strike was going on, when we saw that they were saying confessions in the shipyard, and we heard that there were Soviet warships next door. We didn't know what was going to happen. Fortunately, it didn't come to the worst. So here people were calling us, well, what are you going to do to help? What can you do? So I talked to Polish-American Congress has a program, weekly program on the Polish radio, Polish varieties, and I talked to Mr. Różalski, and he said, all right, well, let's on Saturday, let's call it zbiórka, or a fundraiser. If we get a few thousand, that'll be okay. Well, there were 4 people at the phones on that Saturday. I was just walking around and sort of looking over what's going on. When the phones started ringing, all floodlights on all the phones, and there was an extra phone, and there was just a chair there. So I picked up the phone and had to kneel down to write the name and the contribution. I didn't get up from that chair for 2 hours. I couldn't, because there were phones one after another. We had 501 phone calls during those 2 hours. Of course, it continued afterwards, continued the next days, and so on. So that was the response of Polonia. And then people were asking me, what are you going to do with that money? Let's send it to them. So, wait a minute, we have to know what will happen to that money. If somebody, there are people that were going to take it over to Poland, but we waited. I called Lech Wałęsa when he was in Rome. I didn't talk to him, but he said, wait. And later it was decided that the money that was raised here and all over the country, other cities, it should be given to a bank leków or medicine bank, and through the Hamtramck Congress Charitable Foundation, and that started the ball rolling. As a matter of fact, the first money that or check that we presented to the representative sent here from Solidarity, it was a lawyer, Mecenas Gregory, came over. And we here in Hamtramck handed the first check. He went later to Chicago, of course, to Mr. Malewski. So, and it continued. We had other fundraisers for printing presses later during the Stan Wojenny, and others, but we could talk about that. Well, we are also at that early days in '82. There was a Solidarity Express organized throughout the country where different items were donated. At that time, thanks to the communists, there was shortage of everything in Poland, not as it is today. So, we are also collecting at one time shoes. Some new shoes were given and some old ones. And that's when the president of the Hamtramck Congress, Mr. Odrobina, joined in just for 2 weeks to supervise this collection. Matter of fact, he was collecting, well, we were collecting at a place where very hard floor, and so he changed his shoes to some gym shoes, and in the meantime, the volunteers were packing the shoes later on. So the guy said, "Where are my shoes?" They went. And we organized, of course, in this Thursday, we started collecting on Saturday, that will be 23rd of August. There was no solidarity yet, but we are collecting for striking workers. We also had a mass said at the Queen of Apostles on the 26th, the Our Lady of Częstochowa day. And later on we had masses, we had crosses of flowers on the steps of the church. There were different occasions, and we could talk about that. And some of those memorabilia on the porch of the were lost when the tornado hit our building and destroyed it. They would be very telling. And there was, for instance, the students, they were exchange students from Poland and the University of Detroit, architecture students, and they had a large design where there is a tank pushing on the name Solidarity, and it drips down in red, in blood, and it forms the name Solidarity on the ground. Unfortunately, the tornado. So I don't want to prolong this, but we are also very close with everything that was going on in Poland, and we still are. And so those are the really memorable days, and I think the historians will write about Solidarity long after us. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. I should add that some memorabilia have been lost, but some are still here, and the Polish American Congress contributed those memorabilia to the library, so they are part of our exhibit. And now probably the most lively part of our program, performed by a group that has a name, Dunajec Dance Ensemble, dancing the Polish Krakowiak.
Thank you.
Frankowski to come forth for the benediction.
W imię Ojca i Syna i Ducha Świętego. Bless us, the Lord, and bless this gift which we are about to receive from Thy bounty through Christ our Lord. Amen. Bóg zapłać życzę wszystkim smacznego. My niestety już naszą grupą musimy opuszczać teren. Czekają na nas inne obowiązki. Szczęść Boże.
Before closing, I have an announcement to make. During the Polish-American Heritage Month, the following programs have been scheduled. Tomorrow at 7 o'clock, we will have a program, a sing-along of solidarity songs. Sunday, the exhibit will be open from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. with a showing of a video from tonight's program, starting at 2 o'clock. Saturday, October 7 at 4 p.m., Director of Galeria Art Gallery, Marian Owczarski, will present his collection of steel sculptures of famous Poles and will speak about their contributions to science, culture and arts. Saturday, October 14 at 4 p.m., we will present young talents from Polish-American community in song, dance, music and poetry. Friday, October 20th at 7 p.m., we will be showing a new Polish movie, Dług, Alone, with English subtitles. Saturday, October 28th, starting at 10 a.m., we will have a display of Polish amber, Mrs. Virginia Strzelczyk collection. At this time, I would like to invite everyone to the reception, which is set up on the other side of the library hall, and also to view the exhibit, which is located in the auditorium. Thank you very much for sharing these few moments with us, and please enjoy yourself.